So next type of questions we're going to do, I'm going to call them mixture questions. So whenever you have mixture questions, for example, calcium carbonate plus magnesium carbonate mixture is taken and then weight 18.4 grams అని ఇచ్చాడు. ఇచ్చి దీన్ని హీట్ చేస్తే ఏం జరిగిందో చెప్తాడు, ఎక్స్ట్రా ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ ఇస్తాడు. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ దీన్ని హీట్ చేస్తే the weight of magnesium oxide formed is 4 grams అని ఇచ్చాడు. ఇలాంటి ఎక్స్ట్రా ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ ఏదో ఒకటి ఇస్తారు. The first thing you need to remember for such questions is, whenever you're given mixture questions, start by assuming moles. Never assume weight. Start by assuming moles. ఎప్పుడు weight assume చేసుకోకండి. Weight assume చేసుకుంటే calculation will become messy. అదే moles assume చేసుకుంటే your calculation will become easier. So I'll start by taking A moles of this and B moles of this. దీని నుంచి నాకు వచ్చే ఫస్ట్ ఈక్వేషన్ ఏంటి? Weight of mixture. This is my first equation. How do you calculate the weight? Weight of CaCO3 plus weight of MgCO3. ఇప్పుడు weight of CaCO3 ఎంత? Number of moles of CaCO3 into molecular weight. MgCO3 ఎంత? Number of moles of MgCO3 into molecular weight. ఈ రెండు కలిపితే 18.4 రావాలి నాకు. So I have 100A plus 84B is equal to 18.4. After that, that's your first equation. Second equation would be whatever extra information he's giving you. Like in this case, on heating, the weight of magnesium oxide is 400 చూడండి. That is my second piece of information. ఇప్పుడు నేను మామూలుగా ఈ మిక్చర్ని హీట్ చేస్తే నాకు ఏమవుతుంది? Calcium carbonate will decompose into calcium oxide plus CO2, which is A moles gives you A moles and A moles. Alage magnesium carbonate decomposes into magnesium oxide plus CO2. B moles decomposes to give you B moles and B moles. ఇప్పుడు దీని నుంచి నేను weight of magnesium oxide ఎట్లా రాస్తాను? ఇదిగోండి ఇక్కడ ఉంది. Moles of magnesium oxide is equal to B అయితే, what is the weight of magnesium oxide? Number of moles into molar mass, which is 40 in this case. And but it e value 4 and so this is my second equation. So first equation will always be the weight of mixture. Second equation will be whatever extra information he gave. Adi heat cheyadam valla emayindo cheptaru kada aa extra information. So using this, you can solve for amount of A and amount of B. So you can solve for A and B. Like from this, what does this imply? B is equal to 0.1. Dani teeskelli paina substitute cheste, use this information and go substitute it here. What do you get? B is 0.1. So 100A is equal to 18.4 minus 8.4. This implies A is also 0.1. So we have A is equal to 0.1 and B is equal to 0.1. But remember that these are moles. So he might ask you what is the percentage of calcium carbonate in the mixture. If he asks you what is the percentage of calcium carbonate in the mixture, ante weight of calcium carbonate enta 10 grams out of 18.4. Ela ochindi weight of calcium carbonate idigondi idi weight of calcium carbonate. Ikkada paina esa kada 100 times of A. Ade nanu weight of magnesium carbonate adugunte ide esundadani, which is 84 into B. So your percentage of calcium carbonate adite idi solve cheyali. Suppose I ask you how much of carbon dioxide is produced. Idigondi carbon dioxide ikkada produce ayindi, carbon dioxide ikkada kuda produce ayindi. So what is the entire amount of carbon dioxide produced? From both these, I have moles of carbon dioxide produced is A plus B. So the entire moles of carbon dioxide produced is A plus B. So if I ask you what is the volume of carbon dioxide at STP, first of all, number of moles is 0.1 plus 0.1, 0.2 moles. So 0.2 moles at STP occupies how much volume? 0.2 into 22.4. So the volume at STP would be 4.48 liters. That would be your answer. Okay.
Just different model questions in stoichiometry itself. Okay, so the first model of questions that we are going to do, these are called sequential reactions. Now, sequential reactions is nothing but substance A will produce substance B. Substance B will probably interact with another reagent D and produce substance E. So question ela frame chestarante, he'll give you the amount of A and ask you how much of E is formed, or he'll give you amount of E required that he wants, and he'll ask you for that how much of A should I take and aduta. So these kind of questions are called sequential reactions. Now how do you do questions which are sequential reactions? Try to write a resultant reaction from the given reactions to relate directly A with E. This is what I mean. For example, S8 plus O2 gives SO2, and then SO2 plus oxygen gives SO3, and then SO3 plus water gives you H2SO4. If these are your different reactions, and I ask you how much of H2SO4 is formed from 2 moles of S8, some question like that. So you want to relate S8 with H2SO4. So first of all, balance the given reactions, every reaction, balance it separately first. So I'm going to go with 8 here, 8 here. For the next one, the balancing is 2 here and 2 here. This 8 has nothing to do with this 2, amma. First reaction veru, second reaction veru. Don't try to balance with 8 kinda. First reaction veru, second reaction veru. And then the last reaction is already balanced. So now, identify the common substances. For me, the common substance here is SO2, which is here also, and SO3. Now, multiply your reactions with suitable coefficients such that these common substances are eliminated. For example, in this particular case, you want the common substances to be eliminated. Ante ikkada 8 undi, ikkada 8 oste rendu cancel ayipotayi when I add. So that's why I'll multiply this with 4. Now, when you multiply this with 4 and add, your reaction becomes S8 plus 12O2 gives 8SO3. That's your net reaction. If you multiply and add, your SO2 gets eliminated. Multiply by 4 and add, your SO2 gets eliminated. But still you have SO3 in the picture. That is also your next common substance. Now, these two are common substances, SO3 here and SO3 here. In order to eliminate SO3 this time, multiply the third reaction with 8 and add. Now, when you multiply with 8 and add, you get S8 plus 12O2 plus 8 water gives 8H2SO4. So this is your complete balanced equation, which directly relates S8 with H2SO4. Now you can finish whatever calculations you want. So 1 mole of S8 gives you 8 moles of H2SO4. So I asked you 2 moles gives you how much, and again. So 2 gives you how much? You're going to get 16 moles of H2SO4. Okay. Now I want you to solve one question. Try this question. Ammonia plus oxygen gives NO plus water. NO plus oxygen gives NO2. NO2 plus oxygen gives you N2O5. N2O5 plus water gives you HNO3. So my question is 1.7 grams of ammonia produces how much HNO3? That's my question. Okay, 1.7 grams of ammonia produces how much HNO3 is the question. First, balance the equation. Now, step by step, eliminate cheskundu. You have to get ammonia and HNO3 into your picture. So, first ronditki common NO kabatti. Ee equation ni by 2 multiply chesi add cheste. If you are smart, you can do it everything in one step, amma. So, I'm going to do it the smart way, chudandi. Ikkada by 2 multiply cheyangane, this becomes 4. This becomes 2, this becomes 4. Next the direct ga add chesese saripotundi. Multiply by 1. Okay, so 4 undi, already 4 undi. Next dante ippudu 2 undi ikkada 2 kavali naku. So I'll multiply this by 2 and add. So now your net reaction is 4 ammonia, 8 oxygen plus 2 H2O gives 4 HNO3 plus 6 water. E2 water undi, A2 water undi. Obviously I'm not an idiot. I'm going to remove this 4 HNO3 plus 4 water. And again, I'm not an idiot. I can see that 4 is common. So 4 remove, and this is 2. So this is your relation. So I have 1 mole gives 1 mole. Simple as that. So 1 mole is producing 1 mole. So 1 mole ante 17 grams of ammonia produces 1 mole ante 63 grams of HNO3. Therefore, 1.7 grams produces how much? So 1.7 grams will produce 6.3 grams. Okay, so that's your first type of reaction. Now your second type of reaction is parallel reactions. Now parallel reactions is when the two same reactants can give you multiple products. A plus B can give you C, A plus B can give you D also. So they'll ask you how much of C is formed and how much of D is formed. Now for such reactions, the reactants should get exhausted while they're forming C and D. Now this is what I mean. For example, if you have carbon plus oxygen, if you take sufficient oxygen, you'll get carbon dioxide. So 1:1 mole తీసుకుంటే you'll get carbon dioxide. If you don't take sufficient, then you're going to get carbon monoxide. So 1:1/2 ratio లో తీసుకుంటే carbon monoxide వస్తుంది. 1:1 తీసుకుంటే dioxide. 1:1/2 తీసుకుంటే monoxide. So if you take carbon and oxygen between these ratios, అంటే ఒక 1:0.75 moles అలా తీసుకున్నారు అనుకోండి, then both of them will be formed. You will get carbon dioxide also, you will get carbon monoxide also. So how much of that is formed and how much of this is formed kind of question. So for these questions, your total moles of carbon and total moles of oxygen are going to be split up and written. For example, if I say I took 1 mole of carbon and I took 0.6 moles of oxygen, ante kada 1 ki 0.5 ki majlo teeskona cheppa. Okay, so if these are the moles of carbon and oxygen taken, and the question is how much of carbon dioxide is formed, how much of carbon monoxide is formed. Enduku rendu form ayinayi? Because if I took only 0.5, I would get monoxide. If I took moles of oxygen as 1, I would get dioxide. So anything in between, I'll get a mixture of both of them. And in the process, the entire carbon and the entire oxygen will be used up. Nothing will be left. So let's say if first reaction ki A moles of carbon are reacting and the second reaction ki B moles of carbon are reacting. Adenti వేరు వేరుగా ఎందుకు తీసుకున్నారు? A ante 1 minus A అని రాయొచ్చు కదా, రాస్తా. That is one of my equation. So if A moles of carbon are reacting, by the balanced equation, A moles of oxygen will react. Second equation balance cheste, you can balance it like this, or you can write C plus half O2 also if you want. So for B moles of carbon, B by 2 oxygen will react. For those of you who are comfortable writing halves, it's okay if you write half also. Evarana balance the equation ante ila half రాయడం తప్పు గాని sums చేయండి అంటే I can balance like this also and do the sum. That's okay. As long as it's balanced, it's fine. So B ki B by 2 will react. Now the equations that I will write will be moles of carbon should be used completely. So A plus B should be equal to 1. Alage moles of oxygen should also be used completely. So A plus B by 2 should be 0.6. Now solve these two equations. I get B by 2 is equal to 0.4. This implies B is equal to 0.8. This implies A is equal to 0.2. So these are your moles of carbon going into the first and the second reactions respectively. Now the question is find out the amount of carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide. So if A moles of carbon is used, you get A moles here. If you have B moles here, you get B moles here. So carbon dioxide moles is equal to A, which is 0.2. Carbon monoxide moles is equal to B, which is equal to 0.8. They could ask you a ratio. So it will be 1:4. Or they could ask you moles, which is 0.2 and 0.8. Or I can say I'm passing this mixture. I'll pass this mixture through aqueous KOH. Remember aqueous KOH, what does it do? When you have a mixture and you pass it through aqueous KOH? If I pass this through aqueous KOH, carbon dioxide is absorbed. So the moles will fall down to 0.8. So I can frame the question based on this concept. So the main ideology here, the main thing that you need to keep in mind here is that whenever you have parallel reactions, the entire reactants are consumed without leaving any reactant behind. Eppudu nenu oxygen ee 0.5 ki 1 ki majlo teeskunte, what if I take oxygen excess? Oxygen migilipotadi, obviously migilipotadi. Okay, for every 1 mole of carbon you need either 0.5 oxygen to form monoxide or 1 mole to form dioxide. So anything in between will give you a mixture. Ala kaadu నేను అసలు 5 moles of oxygen తీసుకుంటా అంటే obviously oxygen will be left over. That's not a, and అప్పుడు అసలు monoxide రాదు, అప్పుడు only dioxide వస్తుంది. So I want you to solve one question. ఇట్లాగే parallel reaction ఇస్తాను. Iodine plus chlorine forms ICl and ICl3 if 254 grams of iodine and 177.5 grams of chlorine are taken. Calculate moles of ICl and ICl3 formed. Iodine plus chlorine gives you ICl. Iodine plus chlorine gives you ICl3. Balance. A moles aithe idi A moles, idi 2A moles. B moles aithe idi 3B moles, idi 2B moles. So first equation A plus B is equal to moles of iodine. ఇది అన్ని మోల్స్ తో నేను చేస్తుంది. సో మోల్స్ ఆఫ్ ఐరన్ ఎంత? 254 by 254, 1 mole. నెక్స్ట్ క్లోరిన్ మోల్స్ A plus 3B moles of chlorine is equal to moles of chlorine ఎంత? 177.5 divided by 71. ఎంత వస్తుంది? 2.5. Now solve the two equations. A plus B is 1, A plus 3B is 2.5. So 2B is equal to 1.5. So B is equal to 0.75. దీని నుంచి A is equal to 0.25. So moles ratio of ICl and ICl3. So ICl ఎన్ని moles form అయింది? 2A. ICl3 ఎన్ని moles ఉంది? 2B. So this is 2 into 0.25, 0.5 moles. ఇది 2 into 0.75. This is 1.5 moles. అంతే, రేషియో అడగలేదు, ఇండివిజువల్ గా అడిగాను. So 0.5 moles and 1.5 moles. That's it. This is your parallel reaction. So we've done mixture questions. We've done sequential questions. We've done parallel reactions.